Raz, yes. Afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen. Seats. And participants of the Tashkent International Investment Forum, inclusive ecosystem for women entrepreneurs. That unites over 150 investors, big investors of women in these companies, is still very low. So the we're gonna have within the another 1 hour is not only women, globally women entrepreneurs play jobs in bringing the social development, yet a lot of barriers like access to finance. Women have to balance and fight social stereotypes. We'll cover sectors from the policymakers to using the opportunities and identify the challenges to bridge the gap. Our esteemed panelists today, which you see, the keynote speaker today, we are very honored, with Naseem Mahon, has driven impactful legislation and policy reform, the Council of the Women and Policy reform, the Council of the Women Entrepreneurs under the Uzbek Chamber of Commerce. In addition to her government work, Nazima Hom serves on the supervisory board of the Hamrock, Uzbekistan dedicated first and only platform to support women by networking, but free advice, With no further ado, Nazima Hom, please. And we know that the government of Uzbekistan achieved a lot for women. And could you please update us and the participants in terms of the bridging the gap for women entrepreneurs in terms of the bridging the gap for women entrepreneurs
and partners? I'm very happy we're here today at the Tashkent International a fair business environment where everyone has expect much from their daughters to become entrepreneurs. Women usually have less property to use as a collateral, less freedom to move around, and more responsibilities at home. Still, I see that many women really want to learn, grow, and succeed. And we already have women business owners who are ready to help others and support women's economic empowerment. To help more women, the president started a special program called Hamroh. It gives women access to good loans, but just as importantly, it teaches them how to use that money wisely to build strong and sustainable businesses. We also give personal and individual support to each woman, depending on their needs and challenges they face. We work with banks to give out loans through our program, and we're always trying to make bank services better for women. Even for me, someone who feels empowered and privileged, it can still be hard to walk into a bank or a government office and get services like any other citizen. Sometimes I feel awkward or unsure. I think many women understand that feeling. I think it's like a kind of a, women story. That's why we want all women to feel confident and able to use the many opportunities our country offers. Actually, we're offering a lot, like huge opportunities for women. So far, we have reached over 3,000 women. Around 70 are getting personal support, and more than 140 women have already received loans just in the first 6 months of our program. Is that impressive? UNDP, our beloved partner, is helping with the training part. And we recently partnered with Uzum, a national online platform, to open up new chances for women in e-commerce. Dear friends, both local and international partners are already doing a lot to support women in business, and we truly appreciate it. We have come a long way in the past few years. Now it's time to take the next step and to really upgrade. We suggest bringing all donor programs for women entrepreneurs under one plan and under one coordination. This way, we can see the full picture, use money more effectively, make sure everything is clear and fair, and better understand what's working and what's not. I believe we all feel proud when we see real results in our work with women. This is the field where change happens quickly, and the impact lasts for generations. Women are the ones who bring real change to societies. And when women have financial independence, amazing things can happen. Thank you so much.
Many thanks for your inspirational speech. We are moving now. We are ready to move now to our second speaker today. Nazima Hon mentioned the cooperation between Hamrok Fund and UNDP on the training on the fund, and it's my pleasure to give the floor to our second speaker today, Akiko Fuji, resident representative UNDP in Uzbekistan since 2024. Akiko has more than 25 years work experience in UNDP over the globe in different capacities in different locations. Previously, Akiko-san worked in the NGO sector and other UN agencies. With your strong commitment to UN Sustainable Development Goals agenda, Akiko is promoting the social and economic reforms in the country. I have a question to you. We understand that the UNDP team concluded a very in-depth study, Women's Entrepreneurship in Uzbekistan, assessment of the current situation and recommendations. Could you please highlight some of the key findings from this study, and especially on the focus to the barriers that hinder development of the women entrepreneurship in the country and in the capital versus the regions of Uzbekistan? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Nazima, dear colleagues, distinguished guests. It's my pleasure on behalf of UNDP to speak at this very important fourth Tashkent International Investment Forum. Thank you for the question. You have referred to this study that UNDP has conducted recently, actually earlier this year. So the result that you are talking about is the result of the survey that we have conducted with over 4,000 women entrepreneurs in Tashkent as well as in the region. And let me start with some positive notes. So women's participation in entrepreneurship is really growing today rapidly. In 2024, over 2.1 million women entrepreneurs existed in Uzbekistan, out of 5.2 million. So that is a significant proportion of entrepreneurs actually owned by women. And also importantly, this is a sevenfold increase since 2020. So you can see how rapidly the growing number of women entrepreneurship is happening in Uzbekistan. So the first message that I would like to convey today is there is a growing momentum in Uzbekistan to invest in women's entrepreneurship. So I understand some of you attending today are from banking sector, financial institutions, and other business sectors, supply chains. Please notice this development and the message that it is now to invest in women entrepreneurship in Uzbekistan. However, so you also want me to share some of the results which are more like a challenging side. So 17% of the corporate entrepreneurs are women, meaning in the formal, more growth-oriented sector, women's share becomes significantly low. So that means that we need to also give more attention to the sustainability of the business by women and also the growth sector, growth-oriented sector. So women entrepreneurs, the number is increasing, but may not be producing so much profit and may be having difficulty in sustainability or growth or scale up. So let me share maybe quickly 3 areas of challenges. One is the most striking finding out of this study was nearly half, 48% of women who responded to this survey identified balancing work and unpaid care responsibilities as one of the biggest obstacles of growing their businesses. So they have started the businesses, but they have this obstacle. And this highlights the persistent gender roles in households that limit women's ability, time, and energy to devote for their entrepreneurship. That's number one. The second, having said that, the financing challenge still exists. So especially when it comes to the terms and accessibility of loans. So the number of credit given to women is increasing. I have numbers, but let's skip that. So issues, what are the issues? The small loan sizes, high interest rates, lack of collateral, as Ms. Nozima has just mentioned, limited financial literacy continue to restrict access for many women. So that came out as one of the challenges in the report. Thirdly, and finally, we also saw a clear demand for skill development. So many women expressed the need for support in areas like financial planning, marketing, digital tools, very, very basic digital tools, which are essential for doing the business nowadays. And combining the conventional SME client training program with activities focusing on the gender-specific challenges faced by women, such as leadership, communication skills training, that is also very much needed, and also to be supplemented by mentoring and networking support. Because as I mentioned, the first challenge was also to do with more private area, how to handle home care services, as well as the business services as well. So mentoring and supporting a network is extremely important. Let me finish here, but the bottom line is, while there is real momentum, we still need to have the targeted interventions to break down the structural and the social barriers that continue to hold many women back. Thank you.
Many thanks, Kika-san, for your highlights of the study. We will be all interested to read it in details. I received it, a very interesting study and very timely done for women entrepreneurs. The next speaker, Ms. Kika mentioned the access to finance is a big issue for women entrepreneurs here with a high interest rate, a big collateral. And therefore, the next speaker I want to introduce represent International Finance Institution. Let me introduce the panelists, esteemed panelist, Andy Aranitasi, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development Director, head of Uzbekistan since 2023. Andy has over 27 years of banking experience focusing on corporate, telecommunications, agribusiness, poverty reduction, and tourism and energy sectors in Southeastern Europe, Balkans, and Turkey. And Andy arrived to Uzbekistan in 2023. And could you please share with the audience which financial tools the EBRD offers to the women entrepreneurs to support them, and which programs you have as an IFI EBRD can offer to support women entrepreneurs.
No, thank you, Tatiana. It's a pleasure to be here with the distinguished panelists. I've been enjoying my almost 2 years in Uzbekistan so far. It's been a completely different experience for me. You shared my background, and I think Uzbekistan for me was a conscious choice because I wanted to see a different region, different culture. I've been all over Europe, but this is completely new for me, and something I'm enjoying quite a bit. In terms of our SME finance, it's one of the 3 core strategic priorities of EBRD for Uzbekistan, which is wrapped up in our private sector support. As people probably know because also we don't get tired of repeating it. At this point in time, we provide about $1 billion a year finance to the Uzbek economy, of which 70% goes in the private sector. So we're very much a private sector-driven multilateral. And as part of that strategy that we have agreed with the authorities in the country, SMEs play a very big role. This is because they are the backbone of both inclusive and sustainable growth, but this is also where you see a lot of the innovation to date. We know from experience in many countries, and we've worked in early transition, middle transition, etc. Now some of our countries are member states of the EU, so they've gone through a long transition period, but we know basically there are a lot of barriers to the SMEs, including underprivileged groups and underserved groups, to access finance, both structurally but also practically. For Uzbekistan specifically, since 2017, which is where most of our activities have taken place, we have provided through specific targeted credit lines and trade facilitation programs around €1 billion to SMEs only. And these have helped actually reach thousands of businesses and create jobs, contribute to the economy, help them grow. Last year alone, through the 11 partner financial institutions we work with in Uzbekistan, which is probably more or less as much as the rest of Central Asia combined, so that is the focus. We provided around 1,700 loans which were SME related. So that is the amount. And with the big focus, obviously, of not concentrating on the capital city, but trying to reach rural areas, more underserved regions. And then we have thematic products that we provide, except for general SMEs. There are green products where we have provided about $150 million so far to the country, and we have a $300 million coming up to scale it. It's not women business specific, but women-led business have access to it. And it is our thematic areas on supporting women and youth. So these are called the Women in Business and Youth in Business programs. And regionally in Central Asia since 2020, we have provided about 200 million to each group. So this is the extent to which we have gone. Now, we believe in EBRD that when it comes to finance, obviously, and to impacting women's access to finance, this requires a very strong public and private partnership between institutions. So you will have the authorities, you will have the regulators, you'll have the financial institutions, whether these are privately owned, state-owned, multilaterals, etc., and all other ecosystem actors that need to work together to unlock the opportunities. So one of the things that we have done, and it's being done in Uzbekistan as well, was launching what we call the We Finance Code, or Women Entrepreneurs Finance Code. This is following a memorandum of understanding signed by our President Odil Rano Baso and the chair of the Uzbek Senate, Madame Narbaeva, in London last year, where this is a regional initiative actually, which covers 13 countries, but Uzbekistan is a big focus at the moment, and where we try to strengthen the financial ecosystem supporting women entrepreneurs through 3 pillars. The first is leadership, where we designate senior champions to advocate for women entrepreneurs because this is necessary. The second is data, through the collection of and use of gender disaggregated data. And the third one is the action by taking actually concrete steps to improve access to finance for women owned and led enterprises. And it's very important to collaborate with the authorities. Our partner in Uzbekistan is the central bank. They have done an excellent work in partnering with us. And we have managed to sign up so far 17 financial service providers to this initiative to collect the data, because without the data we cannot get anywhere. It is important also to focus on, I think, the particular group of women entrepreneurs, because there's always been a prejudice about whether women are able or not able to do this. And for me, because I spent a long time working in Turkey for EBRD, the example of Turkey was the most interesting one. I was actually doing mostly renewable energy and distribution, but I had an Uzbek colleague, Oksana Pak, which many people know, who was based in Istanbul with me and was working with financial institutions. And this is when we launched actually the Women in Business program in Turkey. Very interesting. Everybody thought, let's give grants, let's give concessional finance. And we told them, no, look, this is not how you address this particular topic. Women are just as able as everybody else to run a business well. So we designed the program to have a first loss cover. We told the banks, if you're worried that women cannot pay back, we will cover your losses up to a certain point. And this started as a $300 million lending program because the Turkish banks are big. In about 2 years, they started all coming back to us. I've always wanted to do a Robert De Niro impersonation because it's one of my favorite actors when he goes like, I don't do it well, but it was necessary with some of the banks when they start coming back to you and saying, interesting, women, financially more conservative, more prudent. Their non-performing loans are less. They pay back better than men. Can we reduce this loss cover so we can increase the program? We said that big discovery. Now you understood that women can run a business just as well. And we actually told them, yes, we'll reduce the cover in half so you can double the program, but not only that. Now we want you not only to lend the BRD money, you will commit to us to have a multiplier of the BRD money for everything you do. So this is how in 2-3 years it moved from $300 million to $1 billion. And it did not require one single cent of subsidy. It was just to prove to people you have a prejudice, you need to change your mentality. Women can run a business just as well as men. But this was the financial part. Now the other part, which is also very important, and which we do well in EBRD, is what we call the non-financial services. So that's equally as well, because we can try to address the access to finance and we can work directly with banks, etc. But for SMEs and for women-led businesses to thrive, actually, they need the right skills, they need the knowledge, they need the networks. And they won't always have this partly because of how I think history has evolved, and partly because of this prejudice we always need, this mentality change that we always need to cause. So what we do is we have a program called Advisory for Small Business. So we have a team of 8 people in Uzbekistan, and over the last few years we have done about 400 specific SME assignments. Now, it may look like a small number, but these are very personal, these are very tailor-made. So we don't just go and say, okay, one size fits all, here it is. It is actually, we go and we discuss with businesses, do you need strategic advice, do you need marketing, do you need ESG, do you need financial reporting, do you need help with exports, whatever it is. And then we provide them international advisory to do this. And Rico probably will relate to this one. In my previous job, we had a specific case where an enterprise wanted to introduce lean manufacturing practices, and we brought somebody in from Italy who was actually the former project manager that made Ferrari Modena happen. So at that level, we try to do this. It's not easy, but we try. And this is important basically because it can actually help businesses grow. Half of these 400 assignments we've done in Uzbekistan have gone towards women-led businesses. About 40% have gone outside of Tashkent to the regions, which is important. And we notice the results. So we've noticed that within a year of them receiving this type of tailored advice, about 75% of the businesses report increased turnover, about 55% report productivity increase, and 20% of them report the first one, which is the access to finance. Within a year, they managed to get here. And this is basically what we try to do at a very personalized service level. We also have what we call the digital channels, which are a little bit more, how shall I call it, mass product, mass media, where people can go. And there we've had about 100,000 entrepreneurs reach them. This is where we try to achieve more, let's say, bigger size impact. It is not as personalized, as tailored as the one-to-one service, but we try to do what we can in this one. The final important part is we can work with the entrepreneurs directly, but in order to cause the mentality change, you need to impact the partner financial institutions. All of us, and I'm sure Enrico will tell you the same, and anybody else, we're not set up to lend to SMEs directly all the time. And most of these businesses are SMEs. We can just not do it physically. So it's important to have a strong and very well-trained banking system. And what we actually do is that we work with all of our partner financial institutions. There's usually large technical assistance components with all of the credit lines we give in order to help them with SME lending practices, with green finance integration, but also with gender-sensitive approaches. How do you approach? How do you lend to women entrepreneurs? How do you make them more bankable? And basically, this is how we actually provide things like business, financial literacy, launching IT platforms, and even creating niche products for female entrepreneurs, because this does create, at the end of the day, a much more supportive ecosystem for SMEs in general and for specific groups, including women in particular. So at the end of the day, from our perspective, it's a combination of both. It is the access to finance, but also the non-financial services that can help us achieve the bigger impact, both directly but through the financial institutions. We can lend directly to, I don't know, 10, 15, 30 businesses a year. This is our capacity. But as I mentioned, through our partners last year, we managed to reach 1,700 SMEs, a lot of them women. The more we do them, the more we train them, and like in the Turkish case, then they start also lending their own funds and having a bigger systemic impact. Thank you.
Thank you for a very detailed answer to my question. And yes, EBRD is very well known for non-financial services. We all, I think you were the pioneer in this amazingly famous mentorship program for women entrepreneurs, and we all heard about it, and we know how useful it was for the beginning women entrepreneurs to learn from those with an experience. And it's coming back to this bridges the gap in the mentorship program. This is extremely important for the business entrepreneurs, women in Uzbekistan. Thank you for your very detailed. And we also, I picked several issues which are like challenges, which I'll summarize later after all the panelists present. So thank you so much. Our next panelist is another international finance institution, the Asian Development Bank, which mostly famous for lending to big infrastructure projects, but we also know that ADB covers a lot of the private sector lending, and our next speaker is Enrique Pinari, Regional Head of the Private Sector Development, Central and Western Asian Region, Asian Development Bank. We just spoke with Enrique. Enrique covers 11 countries and spends most of his time in the plains. That's in addition to being kind of the Superman and having a deep knowledge of all these 11 countries, Enrique also has about 20 years of experience working with different financial institutions in the American continent and including in the World Bank. Enrique, after this profound presentation of EBRD, can you please share with us what Asian Development Bank is doing for the private sector development, especially women-led business, small and medium? We heard that you have very interesting programs for promoting green and digital finance. And can you please outline what makes ADB different from other financial institutions in eliminating the barriers for women entrepreneurship in Uzbekistan? The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Tatiana, for the introduction. Of course, I would like to thank for the invitation to this panel, not only because of the importance of the topic, but also for the opportunity to retouch base with a lot of friends from my Tashkent time. And when I saw the composition of the panel, I thought, yeah, it's kind of a family reunion, right? So, and I'm really happy to be here. Of course, I cannot say that ADB can be as good as EBRD in the level of engagement on women entrepreneurship, but we are very good at taking their good stuff, the stuff that actually launched this Women in Business, Oksana. We enticed her to join us, so now we will have at least the intellectual property that we stole from you to put in our service. But apart from joking, I think what ADB has found to be quite effective is to work on two levels of engagement in support of women entrepreneurship. there's one level, which is the policy level, where we work with the authorities, and I'll go to some of the initiative. Again, I will also commend the work with the central bank that we're doing alongside EBRD. And then, of course, we have the specific project level initiatives. So at the policy level, one of the recent advances has been the, contribution of ADB team, and I saw Dildora is here and other of our SME specialists, which contributed to the development of the SME strategy 2025-2030, which got adopted in March 2025, which pretty much is very much gender responsive, with targets specifically covering SME, women SME, women in business SMEs. Now, the next policy level engagement has been on the current evaluation of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy. The strategy was from 2021 to 2024, where we're looking at one of the elements that Andy spoke, the gender segregation data, to understand the specific financial assets uses pattern. So some of the, I've asked my colleagues, give me some highlights on what this evaluation is bringing about. So, for instance, we can, report some progress. For the proportion of women-owned bank accounts have risen from 46% in 2021 to 62% in 2024, which is really a remarkable increase in such a short amount of time of 3 years. Now, there are challenges, and I'm going to highlight a few. There's a digital divide in gender. About only 59% of women use digital financial tools, compared to 70% of men. And also, there's a financial literacy gap. I subscribe to what Andy said in terms of portfolio quality, but definitely men still score higher than women on financial literacy assessment, due primarily to the disparity on financial knowledge. So addressing these gaps is really what remains essential to achieving that inclusive and equitable financial access. So based on this baseline, now ADB has engaged with CBU and other national partners to develop an updated national financial inclusion strategy until 2030, which focuses on advancing the agenda of financial inclusion, but also digital and green access. I also wanted to thank all of you that have participated in the recent event that took place in Shahrazad, which focused on the women in banking, entrepreneurship, and women in banking among the overall SME agenda. Another policy dialogue, which is part of the inclusive financial sector development program of ADB, is the fact that CBU has become a signatory of the Women Entrepreneurship Finance Code, which, of course, having the central bank as a lead brought also another 11 signatories in the commercial banks to that initiative. And another important tool that we are collaborating with in the central bank is the adoption of the gender equality policy for the banking sector, which was launched last June. I mean, actually a few days ago, in June, June 4th, which will be supporting the building of a gender-responsive financial sector and promoting the gender diversity in line with the Uzbek gender strategy. So there was a target of 30-70, and now we're looking at 50-50 target. So I think, on the policy level, you see we're quite involved in all this initiative, but I think I want to move to some of the actual project level. Of course, we have two levels of engagement, something that differentiates us a little bit from EBRD. We work on what we call budget support initiative, and one of the pillar of the recent programs, which is the Economic Management Improvement Program. We work with the Ministry of Economy and Finance to integrate the gender responsive budgeting when they do the program-based budgeting exercises in the government. Other examples, again, focusing on financial inclusion, we do have a sovereign lending program which focuses on microfinance, and that's the one I mentioned, the Inclusive Finance Development Program, which aims to support women entrepreneurship. We have specific targets, but we also have other more sectorial intervention. We have mortgage market development program where we are working with the Uzbek mortgage refinancing company, one of the actually proud initiative that ADB has brought forward for many years by helping the creation of it. But the mortgage refinancing company has a target of attending women to financial intermediation loans, but also not only having the target, but it's a ever increasing target. So every new round of financing, we always ask for more percentage, from 30 to 32 to 35, and hopefully to grow that target for our partner bank. But also now we work on something that, again, we try not only to provide the credit line, the financing, but also try to do the product development part. So, for instance, one of the new products that has been brought to the market is a green renovation loan, which helps, I would say, home improvements with a green flavor, without going into the technicality. But I think this is a product that have the potential to bring even more empowerment, because, you know, in the household, we have more opportunity for women to become empowered in some of the decision making. So that's I think is a very important one. We also, of course, we had historically attended the Uzbek financial sector with horticulture and livestock projects, which also had women targets, women beneficiary targets. These are more government related programs. However, we also dedicate quite a bit of funding on directly working with the private banks, as my friend on my right, Andy, does. And we have established for all the operations, especially targeting SMEs, specific targets for women. And I saw some of our colleagues from IPACULI here, and they know exactly that we keep pushing that agenda to make sure that women get increase, if not equal, access to finance through our programs. I will also want to finally mention that we have a bit of advisory work. We're advising Halk Bank, another big financial institution, on not only increasing the financial services for women, but also establish in-house women leadership program, which are aimed to empower within the institution the growth of women. So I'll stop here, because of course I can do a laundry list of every single project that we have. But as you can see, we have this segmentation of work where we work at the policy level to establish the conditions for increasing the participation of women in economic activities, but also in the financial inclusion. We have this advisory work where we work with our partner banks and other stakeholders to make sure that the empowerment gets to another level, not just financial inclusion, but also empowerment at the enterprise level and the institution level, to give more opportunities to grow within the institution. And finally, of course, the classical financial services, which it's a common agenda among all the IFIs, and where we are trying not only to improve access to finance, but also try to develop targeted products that can reach to underserved potential of women entrepreneurs.
Many thanks for your remarks, Enrica. And I also like noticed several parallel. Like you signed some agreements with the banks. EBRD signed some agreement with the bank. In the next round of questions, if we have time, I will ask if it's the same agreements or there is a coordination between IFIs. But now I want to move to my most favorite part of this panel. and to actually women entrepreneurs. And it is my pleasure to introduce our next panelist, Malika Sharipova, the founder and the director of the CaRe CSR, expert in the field of corporate social responsibility and environment social governance, qualified and certified trainer, consultant in several international projects, but mainly the business women who own her own business. And please welcome Malika. Malika, my question to you would be, from your experience of working with the business and running the business, what innovative private sector-led initiatives or partnership have proven to be effective in building women entrepreneurs' capacity beyond financing, and how these models can be scaled across Uzbekistan, so in the regions, because it's important to understand, to build the inclusive entrepreneurship ecosystem. And also as a private sector player, as an owner of the company, what is the role of the private sector in the promoting business entrepreneurship and removing the barriers for women? And do you think business does enough, or there is a way for improvement? Thank you.
Thank you, Tatiana, for such an important question. First of all, I want to greet everyone. Assalamu alaikum. And I want to say that I'm so pleased to see so many men in the panel dedicated to women entrepreneurship. Thank you for coming. While working with businesses in Uzbekistan, of course, I've seen some capacity building that goes beyond capital to access to capital. And but I would like to talk about some more examples from the world practice, and also how they were incorporated in Uzbek business environment as well. But before talking all of that, I would point out the most impactful initiatives that were led by private sector were those who initiated or who conducted it as not as some kind of social project, not like a charity, but those are the ones who understood the importance of inclusion of women in economic development. So one good example I would like to talk about is corporate supplier diversity programs. In these kind of programs, like large companies, big companies would only buy, not only, but the majority of their suppliers would be businesses that are owned or led by women. The initiative, actually the first who implemented that was Unilever. You well know the Unilever. So they dedicated 2 billion euros annually. They dedicate 2 billion euros annually to source from women-owned businesses. And such initiatives are implemented in Uzbekistan as well. We see Korzinka is already implemented that. They try to supply from women-owned suppliers. And like Nazima talked about Hamroh project that they partnered with Uzum. And Uzum has now given those women who are participating in Hamroh initiative, they will be given designated place in Uzum market. And Uzum market is not just giving them this designated place, but they will be also training them, teaching them how to use the digital platform. They will be also advertising others, encouraging others to buy from all those women. And they committed 1 billion sums for all of these all these projects. Another project which is scalable and implementable in Uzbekistan is She Trades initiative that is conducted by International Trade Center. They already helped 3 million women in over 30 countries. What they do is they provide digital skills learning. Like Akiko told us, according to the research, those are the skills that our women need. Our women doesn't just need skills in tailoring or in baking. You know, they need skills in digital, like using digital tools. They need skills in IT, in STEM. They should be encouraged in going to those high profitable, let's say, sectors. And these International Trade Center also partners with UPS and MasterCard to provide sector-based trainings for women as well. So we can easily implement those in Uzbekistan. In terms of scaling all of these projects, first of all, I am coming from ESG and CSR world. Of course, I would say that we should mainstream and promote ESG reporting. And also incentivize those companies who are already implementing women-related or women support projects, incentivize in terms of maybe reputation, maybe some kind of financial incentives like tax exemptions, any other incentives, so that other companies are also encouraged. Other companies would also be encouraged to implement women-related initiatives. And of course, when it comes to the role of the private sector, I think the role of the private sector is crucial in development of women entrepreneurship. Because unfortunately, in Uzbekistan, women still face certain problems, like Akiko talked about some problems. They still face misconceptions related to women. We have cultural barriers, we have traditional barriers, and I think private sector should be the leader to trying to fix this, you know, try to change the mindset of people, or try to be the leader of supporting women so that women feel empowered in here. And of course, what they can do. I've talked about diversifying the supply chain, procurements. Another thing is, of course, investing in women's capacity and training. We should focus on, as I already talked, we should focus on more to those sectors that are highly profitable, like IT, STEM, and etc. And we already have good examples within Uzbekistan. I can talk about Hamkor Bank. I can talk about TBC Bank. Maybe you're all aware of what they're doing in terms of providing opportunities for women. I love talking about Korzinka. It's a good case in Uzbekistan because they already are trying to hire more women into their supervisor positions, like 45% of supervisors and 30% of managers are women. And they also have leadership platforms, leadership trainings, and also peer support programs that could easily be scalable with other companies. I always say that, again, business should start from within. Unless business starts changing the mindset or cultural shift within their operations, within their environment, they won't be able to promote women support or women entrepreneurship within the society. And for that, of course, they have to start increasing number of women in their leadership positions, increasing number of women in their boards. And actually, I always say this is supporting women or hiring women is not just a social project. First of all, it's an economic imperative, because research, it's not me, it's research says that if you have more women on your leadership, your company will be more successful. Secondly, it's a social imperative. The more financially independent is woman, the less we see, according to the research again, the less we see the risk of domestic abuse. And also women are more prone to give back to the society, so they will do more to the society if they are financially empowered. It's also environmental imperative, because again, according to the research, women leaders are more prone to and more responsible towards properly implementing environmental strategies, not just greenwashing. So unless we engage all private sector to become supporters, to become pioneers of developing inclusive strategies, supporting women, women entrepreneurship, we are just losing opportunities, because like 50% of population of Uzbekistan, women. If we're not using their potential, we're just not looking at untapped opportunities that we have within the society. So it's important, yeah. Thank you.
Many thanks, Malika, for your very insightful answer as a businesswoman. This is important. And now, when I introduce our last but not least speaker, of course, it is a very impressive businesswoman from the Karakalpakstan, Amudarya district. Dildora Haidboeva is Chief Executive Officer of the Ravshanbek Yulduzkhan Enterprise, supplying high-quality food products to the population of Amudarya district, Republic of Karakalpakstan. And before I pose a question to Dildora Khan, I want to take 2 minutes of your attention to this video, which we'll see now. I think if it's ready.
We would wake up at 5 a.m. I still remember how we moved. And we remember, I was just 11 years old. I was a baby girl. My name is Haidboeva Dildora. I'm 34 years old. I'm from Amudarya region, Karakalpakstan Republic. And we have a small company on milk and dairy products production. I still remember when I was a school kid, I would take orders to prepare some salads, homemade food, and we would deliver it to our customers. And I remember, I think this was the start of my business initiative, and it was my family members. It was my mom and my uncle who supported me in the very beginning. And thankfully, I have more partners now. This is the Hamroch initiative, and they are my new partners. And my advice to young women entrepreneurs: so never stop trying out new things. Never be too afraid. Of course, I had problems, but you should not give up just because you are sick or you are facing some temporary problems or because it's a low season. Everyone faces problems. Entrepreneurship is not an easy thing, but you should not easily give up, because when you have your goals, when you have your dreams, they will come true sooner or later.
Yes, let us give a round of applause to Dildora Khan for the video. Dildora Khan, good afternoon. Let me, as a women entrepreneur from the region of Tashkent, I want to ask you one question. What are the main challenges you faced as a female entrepreneur, and how did you solve those challenges? What forms of support, financial, educational, and social, were the most critical to your success in the business? And what do you think needs to be changed to improve the entrepreneurial system to make the women-led business inclusive ecosystem? And as an advice, as a successful entrepreneur, which advice would you give to the women entrepreneurs who just start their business? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tatiana. Good afternoon, everyone. Dearly participants, my name is Dildora. I'm from Karakalpakstan Republic, Amudarya region. I'm an entrepreneur. And it's a big honor for me to be here in this panel session. And I would like to thank you for this opportunity to give you a speech in front of these guests. So my entrepreneurial experience started from making homemade foods at home. And that's how I started making bakery products. I would make patirs. This is like Uzbek bread. So I started with some leftover dough that I had. So I started using this leftover dough for making bread for our neighbors. So it started as a family-owned business, as a small family-owned business. And I just hired 2 female neighbors. So now I employ nearly 40 women. And it was at the beginning my just side hustle as a hobby, and I started it when I was a school kid. And I would make Uzbek noodles, lagman, or I would make some homemade pastry, and would take it to bazaar, to local markets. I had lots of challenges and problems because as a woman and as a young entrepreneur, so it was not easy to make products and to sell it. I opened a small shop of my own in order to expand it and to grow it into a full-fledged cafe and restaurant. I need a loan from a bank, and I had visited so many banks and I received so many rejections. At the end, I managed to get this loan finally, but the return period for this loan was just 1 year. But now, if you would compare the opportunities created for female entrepreneurs, it's so much better. And our young female entrepreneurs have much better access to the capital, and I would like to call them to be more effective in using those opportunities. Please appreciate this, and please do not lose this momentum and this chance. What I want to say is that so women should be more confident. They should believe in their own abilities, because when you have this confidence, when you have this resilience, you can find solutions. So you have all the opportunities that you might need. Just stay informed. And now we have this Hamroch initiative, and they provide you loans with lower interest rates and with 7 years of return period. So now I have opened a new manufactory on producing dairy products, and we process milk and produce 15 types of different dairy products, and is delivered to small stores and shops across our region. And it's I still think the sky is the limit, and we are reaching out to presidential forums, to international and regional forums, and that's how I think we are establishing network and exchanging experience with other female entrepreneurs, and I think that would open up new opportunities for us. And I think we should open and set up new training and workshops, and within the Hamroch project, that's exactly what we are doing. And that's how we are analyzing the situation with female entrepreneurship. We are meeting in person more female entrepreneurs. We are exchanging ideas with them, and also we are inspiring each other. So my main message is our women nowadays can have access to so many opportunities to start and develop their entrepreneurship, and I would like them to use those opportunities wisely.
Many thanks for your very candid and open response. This is like what I like about women who are there on the ground, who are facing these problems every day. And I want to also recommend to, it's good that there are men in this hall to listen to the women's problems, because it's all because they need to know how to support. And it's also very good that there are 2 women entrepreneurs in this panel to discuss the problems, which gives a real on-the-ground expertise from the region, from the country, those who facing the problems every day while doing business. And we are doing quite good on the time. We even have 5 more minutes before we complete the panel. And my last question to those panelists who might want to answer this. What do you think, having heard of all this, and from your experience of working on the policy level, in the private business, what do you think would be one priority to be done within the next 12 months to significantly improve the conditions of business women in Uzbekistan that would help reduce barriers? Yes, Nazima.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone for this brilliant and very succinct panel. I think the most important thing, and as you mentioned, Malika, extremely happy to see men in this panel, because usually when we discuss women's issues, we see like only women in the room. But when we discuss some real things like finance, industry, we see only men, and women only bringing coffee or water. And that's a pity. And I think that things are changing, and the reason why things are changing is that women are more engaged in finance and business. And I think the top priority thing here is to engage more women into just business. There is no actually women or men businesses. There is just entrepreneurship, and there are very similar challenges for both women and men. And it's all about the fair environment, the business climate, and investments and access to finance. So I think that what we need to do is to mix up men and women in business so that women can get access to power and to money. And I think that miracles can happen in this regard. And we all need to contribute, and also international financial institutions, to engage more women in business, not just separating them, not marginalizing women, but saying like, this is business and all are welcome, and make it as inclusive as possible.
Thank you so much, Nadina. Malika.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there is a need for a unified digital platform for women, because there is so much things happening. Like EBRD is providing some finance, ADB is providing, TBC is doing good things. Some organizations are providing capacity buildings. But how, if I am a woman from the region, how do I know that this is happening? And do I have the capacity, or do I have time to come to Tashkent and get those trainings and get all those opportunities? So I think it will be good to develop a unified digital platform where we have all the knowledge about finances, about loans, about capacity building, about trainings, and etc. and etc. And also, I would also say 70% of information they say that today we receive from our phones. So I think it will be good to organize online mentorship for women in region, especially. Again, I will point out. Because women in capital are more or less, they are they have better conditions and they have better opportunities. But women in region, those are the ones that we need to shift our focus. And providing this kind of digital opportunities, digital online mentoring would give them enough knowledge, enough opportunities, and they would be developing their businesses. It will help. Thank you.
Thank you, Malika Khan. And Enrica, yes.
I've been to, of course, what has just been said. I think I went through some of the policy initiative before, and the Women Entrepreneurship Finance Code, the Gender Equality in Banking Code. These are all very good initiatives, and that's why we engage in helping drafting. But I think drafting is not the end. I think what we need to do is try to focus on the implementation. So encourage in the next 12 months all our partners to adopt and implement these things, but also monitor that that's only because something is adopted, only because something is in your books. You need not only to implement, you need to report on it. So you know that you try to make that effort and you try to make a difference into improving the conditions. So let's let's try to complete the circle. Let's not just stop at drafting, let's stop at adopting, but let's monitor also that this is happening, and then we can actually see if something's working, and if not working, we can take corrective measures. So I think that's what I would like to see in the next 12 months.
Thank you, Enrica. Any other comments from the panelists? Yes, Akiko-san.
Thank you. I really appreciated this discussion. It was really stimulating and inspiring. But maybe the last comment from my side is, of course, coming from the United Nations international platform, I would like to really repeat my first message that there is a momentum in Uzbekistan to invest in women, but also, the fact that it's not only within Uzbekistan. This issue is really international, global, and all the issue, and really to go and reach out to the international platform. Uzbek women entrepreneurs are having the similar issues with other women in the region and in the international arena as well. So get out there, exchange experiences, and export your items as well. Like, a lot of connections are there. So look at the international arena as well. So there is a huge momentum. Thank you.
Thank you, Akiko-san. Dildorajon, if you have some comments, what would really improve your life and your business? What do you need? And then we close this panel.
I agree with all the sentences, all the speeches that have been carried out so far. Please be careful and use all of the conditions that have been created for women. I don't know about other places, but Uzbekistan have created quite fair conditions for themselves, and we have to work on our work, and we need to make sure that all the women are going to be employed, and we make sure that they will find their spot both in their personal family, private families, and in the society. Thank you. We need to go on. We never should stop. Thank you.
Okay, we are very good on timing, and I maybe conclude that, just make some conclusion from this panel. We understood from this panel that access to finance is still a big issue for the women entrepreneurs, for business in general. We also understood that the IFIs, even though they give these grace loans for business, they cannot directly work with the business, and unless the banking sector is developed, it will not have a maximum use for the business and women including. But we know that there is a huge privatization program in Uzbekistan with the privatization of the bank. So let's hope that within the next few years, with this great, amazing policy that the government of Uzbekistan has driven, and as our panelists mentioned, the gender equality program is there. We have an indicators with women achieving the certain levels in the parliament, in the Senate, with the private sector, with this developed banking sector and available grants. Let's hope that, and I am very positive on that we will be there. When we end, most of the barriers will be removed, these financial barriers. And in terms of the mentality, there is a huge work that needs to be done. And as most of us mentioned, there are men in the room, and it's important for men also to understand it. And I think there is also a field for cooperation between the government, private sector, international organization in the future, and we really hope it will be fruitful. I really want to thank all our panelists, and we heard a very multilateral, cross-sectoral approach to this bridging the gap for women entrepreneurs here. And I ask the audience give a big round of applause to our panelists. Thank you so much. The picture is now, right? The group.